The November rain fell like judgment on Brooklyn's forgotten streets. Lucia Moretti's phone glowed in the darkness. Sullivan's restaurant. Before we get deep into the story, please let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Hit subscribe if you're hooked in and ready to enjoy this story, because tomorrow I have another beautiful story to share with you and I don't want you to miss it for anything. Rear entrance. $8.50 plus tip. 11 hours of deliveries. Eyes burning. Back screaming. But $8 meant dinner tomorrow. The alley felt wrong. Too quiet. Too empty. That particular urban silence meant danger. She found the metal gate behind overflowing dumpsters and pushed through. Then she heard it, two babies screaming with desperate, primal terror. Lucia ran toward the sound. He was slumped against brick, blood pooling beneath him. Expensive suits ruined. Dark hair plastered to his forehead. Tattoos creeping up his neck. Strong hands gripped two infant car seats like lifelines. And he was pointing a gun at her chest. "Leave," he whispered, accent turning the word into a weapon. "Leave now." Lucia's training cataloged everything. 3 gunshot wounds. No exits. Bullets still inside. 20 minutes before unconsciousness. Maybe 30 before death. "You're dying," she said. "Then you should run." The gun wavered. "Before I take you with me." The baby screamed harder. One tiny hand grabbed at blood-soaked fabric. "I'm a paramedic student," Lucia heard herself say. "Let me help." "No hospitals." Blood flecked his lips. "They find the children, they die. All of us die." This was an execution. Someone powerful enough to be worth killing 3 times. She should run. Call 911. Disappear. Instead she knelt. "I have supplies in my van. If you let me work, I might keep you alive." His eyes met hers. Dark, almost black with terrible clarity. Calculating. Weighing betrayal against death. Why? Lucia looked at the babies. Small, perfect faces. Starting to quiet from hearing adult voices. Because someone has to. The gun lowered. "Just an inch. You have 10 minutes. Then we leave or we die here." Her basement apartment had never felt smaller. Lucia kicked the door shut, Dante dragging himself forward with one arm around her shoulders. She cleared her futon, helped him collapse. The babies hiccuped exhausted sobs. "This is going to hurt," Lucia said, pulling her emergency kit. "Everything already hurts." He unbuttoned his shirt, revealing a body mapped with scars. Knife wounds, burns, expensive tattoos covering ribs and shoulders. The wounds were worse than she'd thought. A shoulder shot missed the brachial artery by half an inch. A side shot might have nicked the liver. Thigh shot bleeding steadily. "You need a hospital." "No hospitals." His hand caught her wrist. Gentle but immovable. "I'm dead the moment my name goes into any system. And these children, everyone who knows they exist wants them dead." Lucia looked at the infants. Impossibly small hands. Delicate skulls. "What's your name?" He hesitated. Names were power. Names were evidence. But blood loss makes people honest. "Dante. Dante Caruso. I'm Lucia. And I need you to stay conscious. I've done harder things." She believed him. Lucia poured vodka over her hands, the wounds, kitchen scissors. Dante didn't scream when she started probing the shoulder, but his jaw clenched so hard she heard teeth grinding. The bullet was deep, lodged against bone. She dug with tweezers, and when she finally pulled it free, Dante let out a breath like prayer. "2 more," she said. "I know." Basement windows like an accusation. Lucia woke on the floor beside the futon, neck screaming from the angle. Dante was fever dreaming, mumbling Italian words that sounded like prayers or curses. The babies were miraculously quiet in their car seats, watching her with those huge, ancient infant eyes. Lucia checked Dante's wounds. The shoulder stitches held. Side was concerning, hot, slightly swollen. Thigh looked good. She needed antibiotics. Real ones, not the expired amoxicillin in her kit. "Lucia." Dante's voice was rough gravel. His eyes were open, clear, lucid. "What time is it?" 7. Morning. "You were unconscious for 6 hours. Too long." He tried to sit up, winced, settled for propping himself on one elbow. I need to show you something. He fumbled for his phone, expensive, encrypted, screen cracked from last night's violence. His fingers moved across it with surprising speed given the shoulder wound. The delivery last night, Dante said, turning the screen toward her. It wasn't real. Lucia saw it then. Code. Data streams. An entire fake order created inside the delivery app system. Her route, her schedule, her predictable pattern, all mapped out like she was a lab rat in someone's experiment. Marco, my brother, hacked your app. Created that order, timed it to bring you to that location at the exact moment I'd be there. His voice was steady, clinical, delivering horror like weather. You weren't random, Lucia. You were chosen. Perfect civilian witness. The plan was, you unlock the gate, find my body, call the police, then Marco's people kill you before the cops arrive. Clean scene. No complications. Lucia's mouth went dry. But you got there first. I got there early. Cleared the ambush before you arrived. For men waiting in the shadows. They're still there. Just not breathing. He watched her face in disgust or fear. I waited because I owed you the warning. And because I thought you'd be smart enough to run. I'm not running now. You should be. Probably. Lucia started gathering supplies. But I'm not. So tell me the rest. Tell me who you really are. Dante closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were filled with resignation. My full name is Dante Caruso. I'm what they call the ghost. The invisible hand. No one outside the family knows I exist. My father ran the Italian syndicate for 30 years. When he died 2 years ago, I took his place. Quietly. No announcements. No public face. Just me in the shadows, managing territories, keeping peace between families that have wanted to kill each other for decades. You're a mob boss, Lucia said. I'm the mob boss. At least, I was until 3 days ago when Marco decided peaceful leadership was a weakness. The words hung between them. Who else is after you? Marco controls 60% of my organization. The family council is split. Other New York families are watching, waiting. I have maybe 3 people I trust. Maybe. And me. Marked. The moment you were seen, you became part of this. The baby started crying around noon. That building wail that means hunger beyond negotiation. When did they last eat? Lucia asked. Morning. Yesterday morning. Dante's voice cracked. I had formula in the car, but every time I stopped, they found me. They've gone over 30 hours. I know. He tried to sit up, collapsed back. I know. Lucia had exactly 1 bottle of formula in her emergency supplies. She mixed it with bottled water, tested the temperature on her wrist, and lifted the girl into her arms. The baby latched onto the bottle instantly, sucking with desperate hunger. Lucia had never felt anything like the weight of an infant, so fragile, so dependent, so completely trusting. The boy followed, drinking more slowly, eyes on Lucia's face the whole time. What are their names? Lucia asked quietly. Gabriella. The girl. And Alessandro. The boy. They're beautiful. Yes. Dante paused. Alessandro isn't mine. Biologically. Lucia looked up sharply. His father was my bodyguard. Marco sent someone to kill me 3 months ago. First attempt. Alessandro's father, Tommaso, stepped in front of the bullet. Died in my arms. Dante's voice was flat, clinical. He begged me to take his son. Raise him with Gabriella. I promised. The family council thinks both children are mine, thinks they're twins. They don't know the truth. Why tell me? Because you just saved their lives. Because secrets have weight, and you deserve to understand what you're carrying. Lucia looked down at Alessandro. Small, perfect face. Your brother tried to kill you for power? Power. Money. Control. The usual reasons brothers destroy each other. Dante's smile was bitter. Marco thinks I'm weak. That I care too much about rules, about honor, about keeping civilians out of the business. He's probably right. A stronger man would have killed him years ago. A stronger man would have kept his humanity. Something shifted in Dante's expression. Surprise. Or recognition. What's your last name, Lucia? Moretti. Italian? Third generation. Grandparents opened a restaurant in Red Hook. It failed. Lost everything. My parents tried again 20 years later. Different restaurant, same story. Her voice was flat. Turns out the Moretti family curse is thinking we can feed people and pay rent simultaneously. What happened to your parents? Dead. 3 years ago. My father had a heart attack at the restaurant, waiting for customers that never came. My mother died 6 months later. Broken heart, the doctor said. I think it was giving up. Lucia's voice was matter-of-fact. She told this story so many times it stopped feeling like hers. I was supposed to take over the restaurant. Instead, I let it close and went back to school. My sister Sophia, 16 then, never quite forgave me. You chose your own life. That's not a sin. Felt like one. Still does. Lucia returned from the corner store with formula, paid for by a kind stranger who'd noticed her counting change. She missed the warning sign completely. She mixed the bottles while Dante dozed, the babies fussy and squirming. Fed Gabriella first, then Alessandro. Both latched on hungrily. 10 minutes later, Alessandro started seizing. His small body went rigid, back arching, tiny fists clenched. His eyes rolled back. Foam appeared at his mouth. Dante. Lucia's training kicked in before panic could. She laid Alessandro flat, turned his head to the side, checked his airway. Gabriella started seizing 2 minutes later. What's happening? Dante tried to stand, couldn't, dragged himself off the futon onto the floor. Poison. Lucia's hands moved fast. The formula, someone poisoned the formula. The stranger at the store. Not kind. Calculated. Marco's reach extended everywhere. Lucia grabbed her emergency kit, dumped it. She had activated charcoal, used for overdoses. She had oral syringes. She had her training in 2 babies who were dying. Hold Gabriella, she commanded. On her side. Don't let her aspirate. Dante pulled his daughter close with his good arm, his face the color of ash, murmuring Italian words that sounded like desperate prayers. Lucia mixed charcoal with water, created a slurry. Forced it into Alessandro's mouth with the syringe, massaging his throat to make him swallow. His seizure was subsiding, but his breathing was too shallow, too fast. She repeated the process with Gabriella while Dante held her trembling body. Come on, Lucia whispered. Come on, babies. Come on. Alessandro coughed. Spit up black liquid. Started crying, the most beautiful sound Lucia had ever heard. Gabriella followed 30 seconds later. Both babies were crying, breathing, alive. Lucia collapsed back against the wall, her hands shaking so badly she could barely grip the syringe. Dante was bent over Gabriella, his shoulders heaving with silent sobs. You saved them, he said finally. You've saved my soul twice now. Lucia looked at him, this man who'd killed 4 people yesterday, who ran an empire built on violence, who was crying over 2 babies like they were all that mattered in the world. We need to leave, she said. Marco knows we're here. I know. Dante wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. But I need you to understand something first. What? Every moment you stay with us, you're choosing this life. The violence. The fear. The impossibility of ever being safe again. His dark eyes met hers. I'm grateful. But I need you to know what you're sacrificing. Lucia thought about her parents' failed restaurant. About Sophia's college fund she could barely manage. About the paramedic certification she'd probably never finish now. About 2 babies who just survived assassination by formula. I know exactly what I'm choosing, she said. Lucia's phone rang at 3 a.m. Sophia's ringtone, the one Lucia had set to always come through, emergency override. She answered before the first ring finished. Sophia? Heavy breathing. Then her sister's voice, high and terrified. Lucia, there's someone in my apartment. They said to call you. They said. The phone was torn away. A male voice, smooth and cold. Lucia Moretti. You have something that belongs to the Caruso family. Who is this? My name is Marco. I believe you've been keeping my brother alive. How charitable of you. Background sounds, Sophia whimpering. Your sister is a beautiful girl. 20 years old? Studying art history at community college? Lives alone in that terrible apartment in Bushwick? Dante was awake, watching Lucia's face go white. Don't touch her. I have no interest in touching her. I have interest in a trade. You tell me where Dante is hiding and your sister goes back to her mediocre life. You stay silent, and she joins the unfortunate casualties of a family dispute. You have 1 hour to decide. The line went dead. Lucia's hands were shaking so hard she dropped the phone. Marco has Sofia. He wants you in exchange for her. Then we give him me. Dante was already trying to stand. You can barely walk. Those wounds don't matter. Your sister is innocent. I'm not. He managed to get upright, leaning heavily against the wall. Call him back. Tell him I'll meet him wherever he wants. He'll kill you. Probably. But he'll let Sofia go. Marco is many things, but he keeps his word about civilians. It's the one rule we both inherited from our father. Lucia looked at him. This man who'd murdered 4 people to survive, who was willing to die for a stranger. What? Why would you do this for her? Because you saved my children. There's no debt I wouldn't pay. Dante's voice was steady. Because your sister shouldn't die for my family's sins. Because, he stopped, something vulnerable crossing his face. Because maybe I'm tired of everyone around me dying while I survive. No. Lucia's voice was firm. We're not trading you for Sofia. We're getting her back without giving Marco anything. That's impossible. Then we do the impossible. You're supposed to be the ghost, right? The invisible king? So let's be invisible. Dante stared at her. Then, incredibly, he smiled. Barely. But there. You have a plan? I'm working on it. Dante made the call at dawn. Paolo, I need you. Paolo Santori, Dante's lieutenant for 8 years, godfather to Gabriella, the man who'd stood witness at Tommaso's funeral. If anyone was still loyal, it would be Paolo. Boss? Cristo, where are you? Marco's turned half the organization inside out looking for you. I know. I need a safe extraction. Can you meet me? Hesitation. Just a heartbeat. But Lucia heard it. Of course. Where? The old subway station. Red Hook. The one we used for the Bratva negotiations. 30 minutes. I'll come alone. The line went dead. He hesitated, Lucia said. I noticed. Dante was checking his gun. A different one, smaller, kept in an ankle holster she hadn't seen. But I have to try. Sofia's life depends on moving fast, and Paolo knows every safe house, every route out of the city. They took a taxi, paid cash, gave false destination, switched cars twice. The baby slept through it all, exhausted from yesterday's poisoning. Lucia carried them while Dante limped behind, his side wound bleeding again through the makeshift bandages. The abandoned subway station reeked of piss and decay. Graffiti covered every surface. Somewhere in the darkness, rats skittered. Paolo? Dante's voice echoed. Movement in the shadows. But not from one direction. From 4. Men emerged into the weak light filtering through the grates above. 5 of them. Armed. Paolo was in the center, looking everywhere except at Dante's face. I'm sorry, boss, Paolo said quietly. Marco has my daughters. I know. Dante's voice was steady. Resigned. I would have done the same. He promised if I delivered you they'd live. If I didn't, Paolo's voice broke. I'm sorry. Kill him fast, Dante said. That's all I ask. And let the woman and children go. Boss. Let them go, Paolo. Whatever you were, whatever you've become, don't kill babies. Lucia's mind raced. 5 armed men. Dante barely able to stand. 2 infants. 1 exit behind them, but it led to a dead-end tunnel. They were trapped. Unless... The rats, Lucia whispered. What? The rats. They came from somewhere. There's another way out. She ran. Not toward the exit, but deeper into the darkness. Behind her, shouts. Gunfire, Paolo yelling, don't shoot, you'll hit the children. Lucia found it, a maintenance tunnel, low and narrow but wide enough. She squeezed through with the babies, heard Dante crashing behind her, heard Paolo's voice. Forget them. Marco wants Dante, get him. They emerged in a different subway line, this one still active. A train was approaching. Lucia grabbed Dante's arm, dragged him onto the platform, forced him through the doors just as they closed. Through the window, she saw Paolo's men arrive 1 second too late. The highway motel was $60 cash, no questions asked. Single room with one bed, stained carpet, shower that probably hosted entire ecosystems of bacteria. Dante collapsed on the bed. His fever was climbing, 104 degrees when Lucia checked. The side wound was infected despite her best efforts. She had no antibiotics, no fluids, nothing but vodka and determination. We can't stay here long, Dante murmured through chattering teeth. We can't leave until you're stable. Lucia bathed his forehead with a cold washcloth. The babies slept between them, creating a tiny barrier of innocence between the violence outside and the desperate sanctuary inside. Marco has Sofia. We're running out of time. I know. But if you die, we all die. So you don't get to die. Understood? He managed a weak laugh. Yes, ma'am. At 3 a.m., Lucia woke to the sound of the door handle turning. She was on her feet before conscious thought, grabbing the only weapon she could find, the metal 4-pole from her medical kit. The door opened. A man stepped through, gun in hand, face obscured by shadow. Lucia swung the 4-pole like a baseball bat, connected with his skull. He stumbled, raised his gun. She swung again, harder, aiming for his gun hand. The weapon went flying. He lunged at her. Bigger, stronger, trained. But Lucia had spent 3 years learning human anatomy, every pressure point, every vulnerable spot. She drove her palm into his nose, felt cartilage crunch. Grabbed his wrist, twisted, felt the satisfying pop of a dislocated thumb. He screamed. Pulled a knife. Slashed at her. She dodged, felt the blade graze her arm, hot pain blooming. Grabbed his knife hand, pushed it away, drove her knee into his groin with everything she had. He went down. Dante was there suddenly, gun in hand despite the fever. Put 3 bullets in the assassin's chest. Silence. The babies were screaming. The man was dead on the carpet. Blood was everywhere. Lucia sat down hard. Looked at her hands. They were shaking. Covered in blood. She just killed someone. Maybe not delivered the final blow, but close enough. You did what you had to, Dante said quietly. Welcome to my world. I don't want to belong to this world. Too late. It already owns you. Lucia started laughing. Couldn't stop. The sound was broken, edging toward hysterical. Dante sat beside her, put his good arm around her shoulders and let her fall apart. Outside, sirens began to wail. We need to move, Dante said. I know. But for 1 more minute, they just sat there in the wreckage, holding each other while the babies cried and the dead man leaked onto cheap carpet. Marco came alone. Lucia saw him first, walking across the parking lot of an abandoned warehouse, hands visible and empty, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her entire year's income. Handsome in that dangerous way with Dante's cheekbones but colder eyes. Brother? Marco called out. Can we talk? Civilized people. Family. Dante stepped out of their hiding spot. Lucia stayed back with the babies, gun in hand, the dead assassin's gun still warm. Marco. You look terrible. Is the civilian doctor not working out? Marco smiled. Though I must say, I'm impressed she's kept you alive this long. The women of our family were always the strong ones. What do you want? To end this. It's gone on too long. People are nervous. The other families are circling. The council is demanding answers. Marco stopped 10 feet away. I'll make this simple. You surrender yourself to the council's judgment, and I let Sofia Moretti go unharmed. The civilian, Lucia, she can disappear with the children. New identities, new lives, enough money to be comfortable. You get to die with honor, they get to live. And you get everything. Yes. Marco didn't bother denying it. But honestly, Dante, haven't you wanted to stop? You never wanted this life. Father forced it on you. You've spent 2 years trying to keep a dying empire alive with honor codes that don't matter anymore. Let me take over. Let me do what's necessary. What's necessary? Like poisoning children? Regrettable, but effective. It proved my point. You're weak. You care about civilians, about children, about things that don't matter in our world. Marco's voice hardened. Father was weak too. That's why I killed him. Silence. The words landed like bullets. You killed our father. Yes. Made it look like the Greco family. Triggered the war that justified my rise to power. Marco's smile was cold. He was going to name you sole heir anyway. I just accelerated the timeline. Dante's gun was rising. Lucia saw it happen in slow motion. The rage, the grief, the absolute certainty that Marco deserved to die. Don't. Marco held up a hand. I have 5 men positioned around this warehouse. You shoot me, they kill Lucia, Sophia, and those babies. Within minutes. Is revenge worth their lives? Dante's hand shook. Lord. The council doesn't know. And you can't prove it. I was very careful. So here we are, brother. One last choice. Die with honor or watch everyone you love die first. Behind them, Lucia heard car engines. Multiple vehicles. The council was arriving for judgment. The trap was closing. And this time there was no escape. The restaurant was her family's greatest failure. Moretti's, closed 3 years, windows covered in graffiti, her father's dream decomposing into Brooklyn rot. Now it was filled with 5 of the most dangerous men in New York. The council of families sat at what used to be the main dining table. Lucia recognized none of them but felt their power like radiation. Old men mostly. The kind who'd built empires on violence and lived long enough to regret nothing. Marco stood at the head of the table. Dante stood at the far end, barely upright, wounds bleeding through his shirt. Lucia held Gabriella and Alessandro, standing beside Dante because where else would she be? Sophia sat in the corner, gagged and bound but alive. Her eyes were terrified but furious, the Moretti fury that ran in both sisters. The council recognizes Marco Caruso, the eldest man said. Silver-haired, scarred hands, voice like grinding stone. Present your evidence. Marco moved with practiced grace. Produced photos. Dante protecting civilians, refusing profitable hits, turning down expansion opportunities. The case for weakness perfectly documented. My brother has made our family soft. Vulnerable. 3 assassination attempts in 3 months because he's too honorable to strike first. He protects civilians who witness our business instead of eliminating them. He raises another man's bastard as his heir. He's a liability and I propose his execution. Dante Caruso, the old man said. Your defense. Dante tried to speak. His fever made the words slur. Lucia felt him sway. She stepped forward. Let me. Civilians don't speak at council. Then make an exception. Because I have something you need to hear. Before anyone could stop her, Lucia pulled out the dead assassin's phone. Hacked by Dante during their motel stay, containing every message, every order, every confession. Paolo Santori recorded this before he died. Lucia lied smoothly. Marco Caruso murdered his father, Alessandro Caruso Sr., 2 years ago. Staged it as a Greco hit. Started a war to justify his rise. He's been planning this coup since before Dante even inherited. She played the recording. Paolo's voice, actually an AI reconstruction Dante had created, but perfect, confessing Marco's patricide in excruciating detail. The council erupted. Marco's face went white. This proves nothing. It proves you're a snake, Dante said, finding strength from somewhere. And that the family has been following a false king. The eldest councilman raised his hand. Silence fell. Marco Caruso, you are accused of patricide, the highest crime in our code. The council will deliberate. But first, he looked at Lucia. The woman is a civilian witness. Code demands her death. Dante pulled his gun. New rule. She lives or I burn every family here to ash. The standoff crystallized. 5 families. 1 wounded king. And Lucia, still holding the babies, realizing this was the moment. The choice. The transformation. She stepped forward. Or you give me a seat at this table. You want evolution? I'll bridge your world and the real one. I'll protect civilians so you're not hunted by feds. I'll modernize operations so you survive the next decade. But I do it as an equal, not as his woman or your mercy case. Silence. Then the eldest councilman laughed, genuinely amused. Caruso, you found a queen and a delivery driver. The old man would have loved this madness. He looked at his fellow councilmen. All in favor of executing Marco for patricide? 5 hands raised. All in favor of giving Lucia Moretti a seat? 4 hands. Then slowly the 5th. Welcome to the council, Ms. Moretti. Don't make us regret it. 6 months later, Lucia sat at that same table in a different restaurant. This one profitable, modern, legitimate. Dante was beside her, recovered, scarred, different. The babies were with Sophia, safe in graduate school upstate. The families were resistant but changing. Slowly. Painfully. But changing. And Lucia, finally visible, finally essential, finally unbreakable, was just getting started.
If you enjoy watching this, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.